Welcome to Savvy Business, Life Unscripted with your host, Christina Rivera, where our guests share their wisdom and valuable business tips, empowering our audience to expand their personal potential.
Hi, Jocelyn Michelle Reaves. Welcome to Savvy Broadcasting, Life Unscripted. How are you today?
I am doing well, Christina. Thank you for having me.
You betcha. A little tongue-tied today, but I'm so grateful to have you here today to share a very interesting topic that we talked just before we got started, and that is one that probably affects women more than men, but I'm sure it affects both sexes, and that is conquering self-doubt and imposter syndrome. As many of us kind of gear from maybe a corporate side to creating a business and becoming an entrepreneur, there's often times where we really just feel we're just playing the role, but are they going to find us out that we're not who we say we are and all that jazz? We're going to go into that. But before we go there, I just like if you share with our audience just a little bit about your backstory.
Sure. So I, like many, started my career climbing the corporate ladder. I have a master's in public health. And so I worked in pharma, I've worked in hospital management, you name it, and eventually decided it was time to kind of venture out on my own. I'd kind of hopped around and did different jobs. And at some point you realize maybe I wasn't meant to be a 9-to-5 employee. It's for some people, not for everyone. And so I ventured out to start my consultancy, Fireside Insights. And in the process, I got to work with a lot of really amazing, incredible women, CEOs, powerhouses, the people that you look at and look up to. And in that process of working with them, I realized even the women who are crushing it sometimes struggle with this issue of confidence. So how do we get out of our own heads, cultivate our confidence, and then really activate our purpose to change the world in the way that we were meant to? And so I started Confidence Daily from there.
I love that title, the name of your company, Confidence Daily, because I think it's an ongoing process. I think people think, what's that one kind of magic ingredient or ingredients I could just put together and it's all done, and I never having a problem with confidence again. And I think it's always different as you grow. As my one friend said, she was a 6-figure business for many years and then upscaled it and went to 1.5. And there were different challenges and different struggles, and then having to regain that confidence as you're in this new arena.
Oh, absolutely. It's something literally that we have to cultivate daily. So cultivating confidence daily. And I think it's a journey, not a destination.
That's a good point, Jocelyn, because I think even when it comes to, say, like weight loss or whatever goal you have, they're like, okay, when I get there, I'll finally be perfect. And it's like, it isn't just that whatever that one goal is. It's great to have those goals written out, whatever they might be, but it's an ongoing journey. You're never like, boom, I'm a fully done masterpiece. Because as I think it was an opera singer many years ago, Placido Domingo says, you don't want to be at the end because there's only one place to go after that. And that's called death.
Yeah, no, it's so true. And I think too, it's about the joy of the journey, right? So often so hyper focused about the way there that we lose sight of where we are right now.
And to probably celebrate the successes you have on a daily basis that are bit by bit. I speak to that a little bit. The chewing it all up at once. I think people think when I get to success, and maybe success isn't just one bite or having the big house or having 1.5 million or 10 employees. Maybe it's the small successes are just as valuable.
It's so important to celebrate the wins, the small wins along the way. And that's for a couple of reasons. When I talk to a lot of individuals about confidence, it can be daunting to think about your big, hairy, audacious goals and where you are right now. And so really chunking those out and piecing together smaller milestones that you can celebrate really encourages you and gives you that confidence, that motivation in the interim, because you do want to do so much. So how do you celebrate those small wins along the way? But it's also a matter of being in the present moment and appreciating yourself where you are right now, because that in and of itself gives you confidence. So the small wins are just as important as the large ones. And it goes back to celebrating the journey, enjoying the journey and not just the destination.
Yeah. And realizing that, say you come about, I remember a number of years ago, we had this big event we were planning. The first one went pretty good. The second one went well. the third one crashed. And we were like, what? And, but you know what it is? Because every single new thing you do in your business, there's going to be setbacks. And I think what's great is not only looking at the successes, but if something does go wrong, what can we learn from this? Instead of saying, oh, we totally messed up. We failed. Yeah, it's a failure, but what can we do to make this even better or make our company even better next time?
You're right. And it's so funny that you mentioned that today of all days, because I just published an article about why failure is just a point of view. It's not actually a failure if you're learning something from it.
Very good point. And it's funny, Jocelyn, many years ago, my very, very, very first blog right out of corporate into starting my consulting business was 101 mistakes and what I learned in business. And it was basically what I learned in the corporate arena that, you know, as a person and as in my career in business, just little mistakes I made, but then what did I learn? How did I turn that mistake into something as a learning experience?
Yeah.
And it became, you know, people really liked it because they can relate to it. We all have mistakes or failures we've done, but how do we kind of turn that lemon into lemonade and see the positive in it?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. So now let's say someone's listening in and said, I just don't know how to get past, you know, I started my business, I'm a year out, but I just feel like I'm not really a business owner. Like I'm playing a business owner, but I'm not. How do I begin to put on that suit of entrepreneurship and really feel and own it?
Yeah, I think the first step of that is really understanding why you're having that feeling in the first place. Is it because you don't have the outcomes that you're expecting? Like you're putting in all of this time, energy, and effort, and maybe you're not where you want to be, given all of the inputs, you don't see outputs? Or is it because, you know, you have been making strides, but you still feel like you're kind of playing house? And that's imposter syndrome. And so really wanting to tease back the layers of why do I feel this way? What are the stories that I'm telling myself? And what part of those stories are true? You know, we think so many thoughts, and a lot of them are negative. If you really tune in and like take a account of all of the thoughts that you think on a regular basis, a lot of them tend to not be so constructive until you tweak your mind to really notice, okay, these are the narratives that I've been telling myself. And it stems back to, you know, this period of my life when I was told this as a child, and I've carried that with me. The reality is you received a label. That label didn't necessarily belong to you, but you kept it on you. It's like the name tags they give you at networking events, and you just keep it on you.
Yeah.
When you go to a networking event, you take the label off at the end of the night. And I think that's what we need to do with the labels that don't serve us, the imposter syndrome, and everything else that's keeping us from our goals.
Good point. One thing that came up for me, and I don't know if this happened on your journey, is often family and friends, when I started out, thought I was nuts. It's like, why aren't you being realistic and just staying with a job? That's so much safer. I'm like, really? Have you seen people get fired recently? It might not be safer. And so you'll get that sometimes, and that will make you feel like, well, maybe they're right. Maybe this is a bad idea.
Yeah, I think, you know, it's funny that you say that, because it's true. And I find too that sometimes you get more support from, you know, the community out there in the ether than you do from your own family and friends. But if you have a journey and you have a specific dream, a calling, it's your phone that's ringing. It's not everyone else's phone.
Yeah.
You know, so they're not going to understand what that dream is, what that calling is. And it can feel discouraging to hear that. People always talk about like crabs in a bucket or like monkeys in a barrel. I always screw up the names, but basically individuals who are trying to help you and keep you safe and say, you know, you have this safe cocoon of a job and maybe you should stay here because they're concerned. And then there's individuals who don't really want to see you be successful. And so really discerning between that is important. But at the end of the day, the only person who can stop you or discourage you is yourself. When people are saying negative things, if someone said it in a different language, you wouldn't respond because you don't understand it. So it's time to stop understanding negativity too.
That's right. And surround yourself with people who are going to support you. And maybe it means dropping a few friends, not being mean and saying, I don't want anything to do with you, but they will naturally just go by the wayside because you're not going to have a lot to connect with.
Yeah, you can feel when that energy is no longer aligned. And sometimes it is time to cut ties respectfully.
Yeah. And you mentioned something very important before, and that was paying attention to your language. Very early on, when I first got started, my very first consulting gig, I remember going before all the officers of this big company, and I was so jazzed because I'm like, I'm getting my first big company to work with. And I'd hired a mentor. Great idea, because you don't know what you might be saying in the back of your mind because you've become so used to being with yourself. Well, I came out of the meeting and I called her up and I said, "Oh, wow, the interview went great." And she's like, "That's great. Why are you calling it an interview? Isn't it a meeting for your upcoming consulting?" Because I refer to it as an interview, as if I was going to go as an employee. And when she brought that up, it totally made clear for me how I presented myself at that meeting. It actually, we ended up not making the deal, but part of it, I think, was the way I was presenting and seeing myself allowed for others how they saw me.
That's it. That's a really powerful story because our perspective and our language completely changes the way that we show up in the world and the way that we view ourselves and others. That's such a powerful story.
Yeah. And so tell me, how have mentors or certain coaches or anything, have they been helpful on your journey?
Absolutely. I think, you know, it's hard to get a vision of success or what it could look like for you if you haven't seen it. Like we have visions and we have dreams, and it's we don't always know the path to get there. We'll never know the path. But to have someone who's done parts and pieces of what you've done and is able to tell you, okay, this is a mistake I made. You don't need to go back down that road is invaluable. I think it can be scary to ask someone to be a mentor, but I think that's the mistake people make in looking for mentors, is asking for people to be a mentor. I think it's really about, hey, I see that you do XYZ, can I ask you a question about it? And that's how you kind of get your mentors, and
Mm.
they're lifelong relationships that are so valuable.
Absolutely. And there are mentors. And I remember early on when I got started in the business I was doing, there was someone online I was communicating with who had had the business, consulting business, for many years that I was trying to start. And I said to her, "Can I pick your brain?" And she's like, "Yeah, sure. It's 150 an hour." I'm like, "Oh, you're going to charge me?" Yeah. And I mean, she didn't say that. She just said, "Yeah, my charge is," and I felt really kind of like, "Well, aren't we friends, Twitter friends?" And I had to think about it. 15 years of experience building a multi-million-dollar business. She might have
Mhm.
not had time to even get back to me, but she did. And her time is worth something. And so I had to realize, hey, it's worth it. And her advice was invaluable. It was well worth the $150 I spent an hour for her time.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah. So I don't want anyone to leave without finding out how they can find out more about you, work with you. How can they do that?
So we are really active on social media. So head over to Instagram and follow Confidence Daily. We post inspiration, how-tos, you name it. And also visit us at cultivatingconfidencedaily.com.
Awesome. And before we leave, is there any upcoming events or that people should watch out for that you're doing?
So everything is posted on the website. We do like live streams every now and then. So no upcoming events yet, but stay posted.
All right. And before we head on out, one last question. Anyone out there who's not an entrepreneur yet, but looking to get into leaving that corporate world, what would be your top advice to them?
My advice would be to map out your vision. What is your vision for your life? What is it that you're leaving behind?
Mm.
Why are you leaving it behind? And be very clear on that. And then get very clear on what it is that you want.
Mm.
And so when you actually get to taking that leap, you know what your goal is, you know what your mission is, you know what you're heading towards.
Mm.
And in the rocky road of entrepreneurship, you know what didn't serve you because you've written down that list of what you're leaving behind. So don't make the mistake of going back to it in terms of the energy or alignment or being desperate in your road to entrepreneurship. Everything works out in its time. So stay true to your mission.
Awesome. And I'll say one last thing on that note. I recall one of my mentors saying that he'll work with a group of people and they'll say, "Okay, what do you all want? Write it down." And they're like, "I don't know. I just want to start a business." He's like, "Okay, you can't give me a clear picture of what you want? How about give me a picture of what you don't want in your life? And he said, often that's a good way to get started if you're kind of struggling with, well, I'm not really sure. I know I want a business or I want $1 million, but where do you begin to see, why do you want that? Sometimes it takes looking at what you don't want.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Well, I have to thank you again, Jocelyn. Everyone, please go to cultivatingconfidencedaily.com and find out how they can help you today. Jocelyn and her team. Thank you so much, Jocelyn, for coming to Savvy Broadcasting.
Thank you for having me.
You betcha.
Like, subscribe, and share this episode. To listen to more savvy episodes and savvy biz tips, go to www.lifeunscriptedradio.com. To find out about our paid sponsorship opportunities or how to become a guest, email Christina at lifeunscriptedradio.com.